So this is like pre-record Reagan here. So not pre-record, this is after recording. In this, there is gore, and this is depression and some 18 warning. There was no depression and no 18 warning shit. It was just smoking and cursing, kind of. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoy. Now let's get on. I didn't know how it started, or even when it all started, but here I am, currently running around an abandoned mall with a psychopathic killer after me. His blue flame surrounding the building as to keep me from leaving as we played an unscripted hide-and-seek game. His laugh echoed across the empty building as I sprinted away from him, trying to get as far away from him. I could even remember what happened before all this went down, as I woke up in a random room with that man standing over me. His blue flames illuminating the dark room as he claimed I was his for the rest of my time. But I didn't even know who he was. I eventually got him to release my restraints before I booked it out of the room, and now, here into this large mall, it seemed to have no exit. As I ran through, he kept following me, shouting about our love and be mine, but I didn't want to be with him. I couldn't want any of this. Oh, come on, sweetheart. Just come back to me and I won't burn you. His voice echoed around me, giving me no clue as to where he was in the building. Glancing around, I spotted an old shop with multiple boards and dwelling debris laying about. A perfect spot to hide. Turning to look over my shoulder, I couldn't see the crazy burnt man behind me, so I quickly booked it to the shop. Jumping and weaving behind the mess, I managed to make it to the back of the shop, hiding behind some boards, making sure not to make a sound. I covered my mouth as I listened to footsteps that seemed to near me. The crunch of fallen glass from the ceiling was heard, and it got closer and closer. I tried my best to control my breathing and whines as I continued to listen to the breaking and cracks that echoed across this vast empty place. You can't keep running forever. Sooner or later, I'll find you. His voice sounded so close, yet so far, as his footsteps came to a halt. I internally panicked for a second as I could see his blue flames light up outside the shop, and soon the crackling sound of them burning some of the fallen debris filled the air. My breath hitched as I looked around for a new way out of this. Of course, I got myself cornered. Just my luck. But just as I started to panic over the flames nearing my place, they died down. Don't want to come out. His voice faded off, but as soon as it did, I felt a warm sensation run down my back, which caused me to turn around, seeing blue flames emerging from the broken desk that stood in the corner. I knew I had no choice. I'll just burn you out. The tone of his voice was crazed, insane. It was the tone of a villain. No, a killer. This wasn't the tone of someone who spoke about loving me or wanting to spend the rest of their life with me. This was a killer, and he was out to get me. Quickly infuriating a plan, I jumped out from my spot, the flames following as I climbed and ducked through the fallen shop, making my way back to the front, seeing the scarred man standing there. I had to be fast with my movements. I could escape him, but it had to be in one motion. There you are, he spoke in a raspy voice. He stared down at me. Seeing him reaching out for me, I moved my body to the left before quickly jumping to the right, instantly psyching him out. But just as I went to make my getaway, a hot hand grabbed onto my back of my shirt. I let out a scream as I was pulled back into this man, his arms holding me tightly as he kept me close. His hands were hot, almost burning my skin as he handled me. No need to scream. It's not like anyone can hear you for miles, he whispered into my ear as his right hand snuck its way to my face, holding the top of my mouth, preventing me from speaking a word as he kept me pulled into him. At this point, I felt rather defeated as I was tried from running and jumping around. I had down for what felt like hours. I didn't bother to move out of his hold, just accepting that this is what is going to happen. There was a chance that a hero could come and help, but I couldn't believe what was going on and going to happen. You know, you're quite a hassle, getting you here and keeping you here. You really do put up a fight, he said as his left hand traveled onto my left arm, dancing its way across it. But now I have you. He seemed to rub my skin up and down as his face went down into the side of my neck. I'll never let you go, no matter what. I could feel tears staring down my eyes as I shook my head a little, mumbling out words through his hand. He seemed irritated by this. Irritated by this as he moved his hand away from my mouth a little. What was that? He asked, and I shook my head. I don't even know who you are, I mumbled out through my breaking voice, and tears before I felt his hand fall down to my neck, grabbing it as he chuckled a bit. You will, but first you need a punishment for running away. I could feel his hand on my arm heat up as blue flames seemed to emerge from his hand, hitting my arm instantly with a burning feeling. It was unbearable as I let out a painful scream, trying to pull my arm away from him, my head going back out of pain and reaction, hitting him hard in the face, causing him to let me go. Taking advantage of this, I tried my best to get away as I tumbled to the ground a bit, but catching myself with my not burned arm, pushing myself up, I sprinted towards the broken escalator that led to the bottom floor. Running down the stairs, I could hear an angered yell from behind me, which fueled my admiration as I kept running. Reaching the bottom, I broke off to a run behind the escalator, quickly making my way to the old Marcy's store that was still rather full of produce. Jumping behind one of the nearby counters, I took this moment to fully look down at my burned arm. What I saw made me want to gag as I quickly turned away. My entire wrist was blood red with little bubble spots that looked almost like they were cleared zits that formed. But as it went away from the main damaged part, my skin was more charred and just red with a little spots of blood that boiled. I couldn't believe that I didn't feel it, but then again, I think he burnt some of my nerves. At least it looked like they were. You're being a real pain in the ass. Pain in the ass with this skin, he yelled, his voice echoing once more, sounding distant. Looking behind me, I spotted a door that led to the employees' only back rooms. I'm sorry. Quickly and quietly running to it, I walked through to find it was a moldy and destroyed room with tons of graffiti decorated across the halls. Seeing this wasn't a way to go or a place to hide, I walked back out, not seeing the scarred man around the place. Silently cheering to myself, I peered out the entrance, seeing there was no sign of him anywhere. Seeing this, I figured I was cleared to go as I sprinted across the open area. Reaching an old small pretzel place, I climbed behind the counter, here. Suddenly, hearing the voice. Yin, I went through such a trouble to get you here. Come out. I could see blue light being illuminated in the darkened ceiling of the place, which caused me to clearly slump down into the corner, my fear growing stronger. As I hated this, I don't know how I got here. I don't know how I got here. I don't belong here. I don't belong here with him. Unless... Trying to regain my thoughts instead, the fearful ones, I suddenly had a memory flood back to me. It was Hawks. I whispered out just before I heard a voice behind me. Found you. Kid, just trust me. I found this the other day and you'll love it. Hawks rejoiced as he held me close to him while he flew through the air. Okay, I swear, if your dumbass drops me, I criticized while I looked down to the land below us. Seeing because grassy terrain with almost no buildings at all. I raised an eyebrow as I glanced around, noticing this wasn't where hawks would usually patrol. I've known him for a few years, and I knew his distinct in the area that he usually flew around, and this wasn't it. But trusting him a bit, I just went with it. So, how'd you find this place? I was just wandering about while I was off duty, he was quick to say, which seemed rather suspicious. But as I said, I had some trust in him. So, you went towards the countryside? Seems rather odd for a city guy like you. He was quiet. Hawks was never quiet. Hawks? I said it was rather odd. You okay? He was quiet again, but this time only for a few seconds before answering. Yin, I'm sorry, he said, which confused me. I didn't want this to happen to you, but I have to protect myself. Kego? What the hell are you going on? Have you been smoking again? I started to notice a few abandoned-looking buildings, but suddenly I noticed a huge vine-covered mall come into view, before suddenly it went dark, and it all became something new.